Yeah, go ahead.
All right, guys, we're back here with Terry in Pasco, Washington. How you been, Terry?
Good. Things are good right now.
Hey, so how's your day going?
Pretty good. Yeah. I get up and I'm smiling, man. This winter was a killer.
For sure.
We made it through. All these guys that you talked to, we were like a big brotherhood because we went through the hardest winter. The wind would go sometimes 48 hours straight,
For sure.
and it was cold, and it took your soul out. Now with this weather,
Right
so
now it's kind of nice.
it's
right now,
a lot nicer, man. If we can make it to the winter, we can make it through anything.
Terry, how old are you?
70.
You're 70 years old?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. How long have you been out here in the streets?
Well, I was up in Spokane. It's about 5 years since my divorce.
Oh. What happened with your divorce, if you don't mind me asking? Is that why you ended up homeless?
Yeah.
Did she keep the house or?
Yeah, everything was entitled 50-50. That's Idaho state law. And our house was paid for, and I walked away from it.
Oh, wow. Did you have kids with her?
Yeah, we got kids, grandkids.
How many kids do you have?
Well, they're my half children. They're stepkids. 2.
Two of them, huh? Wow. So within the last several years that you've been out here, what kinds of dangers have you faced?
I had an AK-47 pointed at my head one night.
Why?
Turf. I was in a new alley.
Wow.
And they come out at night, and they say that, this is their turf.
Yeah.
And they want to know. But I grabbed the AK-47 barrel, and I told the guy to help me up.
Mm.
So he did. He helped me up, and I said, "What the hell you want to shoot an old man for?
Yeah.
What's that all about?" And he said, "Well, we're just, he barely speak English, and it's all about they want to keep an eye on their turf. It's
Right,
like a
right.
turf war.
For sure.
It's like you're in our neighborhood now." And then he handed me the rifle,
Uh-huh.
and just so I could check it out. It was military grade, and then I gave it back to him.
Wow.
And then I said, "Look, here's what I want you to do. I want you to keep an eye on things for the rest of the night, and don't let anybody screw with the old man. The old man doesn't like to be screwed with. I'm not hurting nothing." And he did. About 3 hours later, he came back. He went to one of the local cafes that open 24 hours.
Yeah.
And he came back and he had a plate of roast beef, mashed potatoes, corn, gravy, and a piece of bread. And he says, "Here, old man." So it's not all that bad. I think he was just checking on his serve. If I was a problem, he probably would have shot me, but he knew. He just said, "Hey, man, this is the old man."
Sorry about that. I just had to show that we got distracted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, continue on with what you were saying.
That kind of thing is. Hey, excuse me. We're kind of in the middle of something right now. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Maybe you could buy something?
She has a lot of problems. She's kicked out of just about every store here.
Oh, really?
Something went wrong. She's really a good person, but she somehow her mind went one too far.
Right.
And so now she doesn't make a lot of sense, and she's I don't know how she survives. Most of the stores won't let her in anymore because she likes to distract everybody.
Really?
But she's a decent human being,
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be sympathetic,
Right.
and that's how that works.
Yeah. So tell me this: how do you do it to hold your ground out here, being that you're 70 years old?
Well, I come from Los Angeles, and I grew up in a lot of times in the streets, and I come from a real hard neighborhood, and I've always been, I rode my motorcycle cross country like 2 or 3 times, every side road, everywhere on my motorcycle. I did that for years. That's sleeping on the streets too, by the way.
For sure.
And then I started, as a young boy. My dad took me out of elementary school, and he put me in the pot and pan room. My father was a famous chef.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 30 years in TV. I met Julia Childs when I was like 9 years old.
Oh, wow.
And but my grandparents, I believe, were killed in the Holocaust, because I'm German Jew, and he was on his own at 8 years old, went through the Great Depression, and he was one tough, certified executive chef, and through the American Culinary Federation. So what happened was, I was his boy, and he wanted me to learn his trade. That's how it was back in those days. I loved it, man. I worked with him for...
With your dad, with the chef?
Yeah, for like
Wow.
30... I worked with him for like 30 years, and he started me all the way in the bottom, emptying garbage. I was only like 9 years old. He said, you're going to wash the pots and pans, you're going to do the dishes, you're going to empty the garbage, you're going to work here. And then he pulled me aside, and he says, Terry, one day if you want to be an executive chef, you have to start at the bottom.
Right.
You got to know what they feel like. Otherwise, you'll never be able to have that skill level.
For sure.
And then I went into there from prep cook, and the fry cook, and then saute, and then broiler, then grade manager, and then night chef. And, he made me work the chain of command. He was
Wow.
military, yeah, he was military
He
chef.
was military as well.
Yeah, Japanese in the Pacific. Yeah, Coast Guard. So anyways, he says to me, and each station I worked, it was like 2 years, man. He said, you're going to learn all the facets, because you got to have the heart.
Right.
That's why you're doing dishes and pot. You got to know where the heartbeat is.
Right.
And you got to treat people good. You got to be decent, and you got to love what you're doing. And that part of my career was...
So did you do that? Were you a chef your whole career?
Until he died. Okay, my father died. He died in my arms.
Oh, man.
Anyways, enough of that. So then I got a stepfather that lives in Idaho, and so I called my brothers up. I said, I am struggling. So they put me on their crew doing metal studs and drywall.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
hard work.
that's hard work. And my stepfather was one of the biggest contractors in Reno, Nevada. He did the big high-rise, MGM Grant. He wasn't just the foreman for the drywall. He was superintendent.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he's a hick from Ohio. Never went to school. Smartest person I ever met in my life. He knew detail, and he ran those buildings. He knew every trade on that building.
Wow.
So, on the skyrise, and that's what he did. He was union. Anyway, so they took me under their wing, and I became a journeyman at Metal Studs and Drywall. And I worked in the high rises, me and my little brother.
Oh, wow.
And that was another experience. So I learned my father's trade,
And your stepfather.
and that's called respect. I'm not one that says, hey, I blame my father for this, I blame this for that. No. Anything I'm doing right now is brought on by myself.
Right.
Okay. You can't just go around blaming
Other people. Right?
Yeah. You can't blame all the stars in the universe. You can't blame the school. You can't blame the parents. And you get a lot of that around here. And I tell them, I says, man, you got to take some credibility.
Right.
You got to be own. You got to own.
Hey, Terry, so have you had a turn to doing any substances being out here in the streets?
Growing up, I was, I had some problems with some like black speed,
Right.
because I was working 18 hours a day, and but out here, I don't do any of this shit out here.
Wow. How do you do it to resist that? Because it's everywhere.
It's nothing to me, man. I don't want it.
For sure.
I don't want nothing to do with it, and I don't care who does.
Right.
I don't go around judging people.
Right.
That's not how it works. and criticize. I don't. The people do what they got to do. Me, no, thank you. I don't want it, man. I don't need it, man.
Where'd you sleep last night, Terry?
I got a place in the field over there,
Uh-huh.
and I throw my bag down, I throw my mat down, and I sit there and look at the stars all night. It's nice. See, you know, because there was a time in my life in Idaho, me and my dog would go backpacking for sometimes 10 to 14 days at a time. Kootenai County National Forest Service. It goes for miles and miles and miles.
Wow.
And that's National Forest Service land. We're welcome up there. That's our property.
Oh, wow.
And you follow the rivers. Little Coeur d'Alene, North Fork Coeur d'Alene River, and it goes into the Spokane River. Spokane goes in here, and then that ends up someplace in the Columbia, I think, or Snake River, whatever.
Terry, what message do you have for family or friends if they end up seeing this video?
I love them, you know.
Would you be okay with doing a follow-up interview in the future?
Yeah, of course it would.
And would you be okay with me posting this on my YouTube
Oh,
channel?
absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you, brother, for talking to me, man. Got a little emotional there for a minute, but
Appreciate it, Terry.